things on the injury front? Any new?
Yeah, not that I'm aware of anything different. No, I think Jazz Richards is training again, and Danny Ward's doing some light training, but that's all. I mean, nothing new coming into the squad.
Too soon still for Kenneth Sahor?
He's still a while away.
There's an interesting stat on Neil Etheridge doing the rounds this morning. Saved penalties from Wilson, Kennedy and Madison, all ex-US presidents.
Mm-hmm. I hope Tottenham haven't got any ex-president names then.
Not that I can see. Is he aware of that, do you know?
No, I don't think so. No, I mean, these people must have a sad life, mustn't they, really? That's all I can think of.
He's been key though, hasn't he? He's been crucial this season.
Yeah, he's done well. He's obviously made mistakes that's been difficult to accept, but you've just got to think of where he's come from, and he's got a lot to learn, and he is improving on a lot of aspects, but he's got a long way to go yet, but he could become a very good goalie. In
terms of Tottenham, what have you made of them this season, and how big a challenge do you face?
It's a massive challenge. I mean, it's like the last game at home, Man United. It's a similar situation, really. They've got so many quality players. I think they've done a fabulous job this year. They have one bad result, and it's always a catastrophe in the press. But I think they've improved as a squad year on year, and I think now it's a very exciting club with a prospect of going into the new stadium, etc. And the number of English lads that they've got, quality young lads that Poch gives a chance to. I think it's great for us, really.
Is he a manager you admire?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's always, I always get on well with him and his staff. I think his staff are very good as well.
Do you think they're title contenders? Some people.
No, I don't think they're title contenders. No, but I think they're going to have a great season. I think definitely. It's such a strange thing. I think they would be in a normal situation, but we've just got two incredible teams at the minute, and at the moment one of them's just flying, isn't it? If Liverpool do get a result Thursday, then it's very difficult to see anything else, really.
Is that a game you're looking forward to away from?
Yeah, absolutely. I think everybody is, Probably be the most boring 0-0 draw we've ever seen. Looking at the Premiership this year.
Who do you think will edge it?
I've no idea. Obviously, I think Liverpool are flying, but Man City have got wounded heroes as well. So it's got everything, hasn't it, really?
And looking at Tottenham, Harry Kane obviously a key man for them. How important is it you close him down, and how do you go about doing it?
Well, we did well at their place. I don't think there's anything other toward, really. I think we've just got to keep looking at ourselves. We've really improved the last couple of games at the back after the Manchester United debacle. And we just got to keep working on that line, really. On a good day, Harry Kane, no matter what you do, he'll take you he'll cut you to shreds. But we've coped quite well with a lot of top strikers, and he's just another one we've got to try and cope with now.
He was booked for diving against Wolves. Is that something your defenders need to be aware of in and around the box?
Well, what do you say, really? I watched our penalty on Saturday, and yeah, you can give it because his arm goes up, but I don't think that's anywhere near as much as the Southampton lad yesterday. And the Southampton lad didn't get a penalty given against him, and I think that was far worse than what Sean's was on Saturday. It depends what referee you get, really. I think nowadays, and it's so difficult to see diving. You can't blame referees nowadays. All I know is, the top players. Before that, my players go out, I always say to them, don't try not to breathe on them. Before the Man United game, if they get in the box, don't breathe on them at all because they'll be down, and that's how it is nowadays.
Do you think bigger clubs still get the rub of the green?
Well, the reason bigger clubs, I've always said that, but the reason they get more, the decisions is because they have more of the ball, they have more opportunities to get decisions, really. So it's they have 60-70% possession, so you're always going to get that. But it's very difficult, I think, for referees to I think it's a good thing, VAR. There will still be. Sort of one referee say yes and one referee say no when VAR comes out, but I think it will clear up 90%, and they do need help.
In terms of your safety, have you set a target yet?
Not really, no. We were just thinking, you always start off with it, everybody says about 40 points, don't you? But I think that's been kicked to bed, hasn't it, already, that? So I don't think anybody knows. Anybody could put a good run in, and some of the teams that are really comfortable at the minute are quite capable of having a really bad run and coming back into the pack in the next few weeks. So you just don't know.
And just looking at January, how's your January window shopping going? Any updates?
Yeah, no, not really. We're looking at the number of players. We've got no concrete decisions or answers or anything. And as I've said in the earlier press conference, even if we sign players, it doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to be in the team, because they have to fit in straight away in what is the most difficult league to whether it's the culture change for some lads that come from abroad. The pace of the Premier League's is probably quicker than any other league. So you can always understand when top teams sign players, they always say it takes 6 months to bed in, but we haven't got 6 months, so we've got to hope that we can bring players in that can fit into our squad and not necessarily be straight in the team, but be a good addition to help us improve the squad in general.
Is there any chance of a deal for Emiliano Sala?
You had to look at your computer then, didn't you? There's always a chance with everybody. I mean, we've spoke to clubs about numerous people. I read somewhere that the player don't want to come. I always take things like that with a pinch of salt. But I don't think anything concrete on any players yet. We've asked about 5 or 6 strikers, midfield players, full-backs, and we've got backups as well in case our number one targets don't come off, because quite easily things can change at other clubs as well.
Have you had any indication if Nathaniel Klein will be allowed to go out on loan from Liverpool?
No, I think we just we obviously spoke to them early on in the window, but he's their player, so they will decide that. Not nothing to do with us really.
But he's obviously a player you have a relationship with.
Yeah, he's one of the players. Yeah, I've always liked Nathaniel. Yeah. And we are looking at that position, but that would fill all our loans up though if that was the case. So that wouldn't allow me to bring a striker on loan, for example, from an English club, which I find pathetic with the rules, but not go into that again.
I don't want to just keep dropping names at you, but there is one more, Glenn Kamara at Dundee. Any truth in that?
I read that this morning. Yeah, I'll have to ask our lads if we're interested.
You've got no idea?
No, he is a good player. I've always looked at the Scottish football, and he is a good player. Without a shadow of a doubt, he's had a sort of an up and down sort of start to his career. But he's one of a number of Scottish lads that we've looked at.
And how confident are you of getting these deals done? I know it's difficult.
I'm not confident at all. No, I think it's so difficult. It's better for me when we've had a couple of results like we've had, because it's easier talking to players when you're not bottom of the league. To try and convince them that we've got a chance of staying up. Could they come and help us out, sort of thing, or could you come over permanent? It's far better for me to talk to players in that situation. So it has helped that, I think, and they've seen. If you look at the club and the following and the crowds that we're getting, it's an appealing place, I think, at the minute.
Thanks for your time.
No problem.
So the way you're talking here, are you looking at 1 loan and 2 signings? Is that the ideal for you at the moment?
Possibly 3 loans, possibly 2 signings and a loan. Yeah, I don't honestly know, Rob, but I can only have 1 from England. So the rest would be on loans from abroad if I was going to do that. But at the moment, nothing at all really. I think if we sign, if we do sign people permanent, they've got to be the right type with investment wise that we'll get money back if things don't work out.
And you said it previously, but it's worth restating. Vincent realises how important this month is, given where you are in the table. Yeah,
I think so. I mean, Mehmet talks to Vincent regularly, and Ken Chew does as well. So I think they all do. They're all really trying their hardest. In a way, I'm pleased it's worked out like this, because Mehmet and Ken now know how difficult it is. Whereas in the past, it's all right me saying things, but they're actually working on bringing the transfers in, and they realise now, hands-on, how difficult it is, and it is extremely difficult. I think from our point of view, 10 times more difficult than the Championship trying to sign players.
Is that right?
Yeah.
10. And you say the recent results have helped. Let's face it, people expected you to be cut adrift by now. Many people did seriously at the start of the season. So will that help convince Vincent that if it needs a couple more million, there'll be a bit more there for you? Because you're in the fight, aren't you, to stay up? That's
Yeah, I mean, I think Vincent's always known, even far back to September, when we didn't actually get a striker on board before I think it was the second week in August, wasn't it, when our window closed. He's always known that we are short in the squad. But also, what pleased me this week is we made 5 changes to the first game, 5 changes to the second game. The players have been superb. 1 or 2 might have been disappointed. I had 1 or 2 meetings with individuals who weren't quite happy, either being left out of one or the other. But I think it showed what the lads are like, and the final whistle on both games, how we all celebrate. It's a really good squad at the minute, and they're all proving valuable. These players, and I've never been one for making changes, if I'm honest, if a team's doing well, but the level of fitness and and what you ask of your players nowadays, it's unbelievable in comparison to years ago. And you just have to do some rotation, even at a club like ours.
So, are you the sort of manager who appreciates it when a player knocks on your door, having played well at Palace, to say, "Hang on, boss"?
I know. Well, the thing is, it's just one of the jobs. That's the worst part for me. I think actually the worst part for me is actually telling a player that he's not even in the 7 subs, and he's played the week before. That's happened a couple of times this year where, it probably a left-back situation where we've got a couple of very good left-backs, and I've left one out and not even had one on the bench, and then they've been playing. It's so difficult. You just have to tell them the truth, really. I want an extra forward, and Pulse can play both full-backs if I have to, that type of thing. That's the most difficult part for a manager, I think. I think you just have to believe in what you're doing. Doesn't always come off when you change things and leave players out. But this week it's been a blessing, really.
When you said earlier that before every game you say to your back line, don't even breathe on them in the box, 20 years ago you wouldn't have had to say that, would you?
No, but I mean, things have moved on. Everything's changed 20 years ago. It's so quick now, the quick, and it's so. I mean, we need 6 or 7 retakes to have a look at some incidents to see if it was a dive or not. Are you with me? That's how difficult it is, and the referee should get one look at it, and it's an intimidating play. Sometimes it's a linesman who decides to, flag and things, and it's one of those things. That's why I say I think VAR is a blessing, really, because it is. I've seen players, and I've had a couple in my career, and one earlier on in my career. I used to watch him on video, and I still couldn't see how he actually dived, which he did, and I still couldn't tell that he dived. He was so convincing, leaving his leg in the right area and knowing when the bloke's coming and shoving your leg up at the last minute, knowing there's going to be some contact. I mean, it's just an art, isn't it, nowadays? And I'm afraid that's with us now. That's why the only way out of that is VAR, really.
And you talk about the changes needed because of the physical demands. I think Pochettino was saying after the defeat on Saturday, he felt the physical demands had caught up with some of his squad. So do you expect Tottenham to make a lot of changes for your game?
Well, they'll have had a few good days' rest then, wouldn't they, really? I think the pitch would look quite heavy, didn't it, at Wembley? I don't know whether it was, but it looked heavy. You don't want that situation. But our pitch is fabulous. They'll love our pitch, like Man United did, I'm sure. They'll be looking forward to it, won't they?
Well, yeah. And Harry Kane at Cardiff, the only Premier League side he hasn't scored against.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we hope that continues. It'll be nice if it does.
Is he the real deal, Kane?
Yeah, he's not just he's just a good person as well. I think he epitomises everything good about English football. Really, hard-working, clinical. A captain, a leader, a talker. I didn't like him confronting Ralsei, when he got sent off up there, but you could understand why he did it. He's looking after his own player in that respect. He's just a good player. They've got a lot, haven't they? You've got to give Pochettino credit. At a time where we're crying out for English, he gives a lot of faith in English players, doesn't he? Young Winks is doing a good job, and there's another couple of lads on the breakthrough as well.
So if they're not going to win it this year, maybe their time will come.
Well, you just never know. I mean, the top teams don't stand still, do they? I mean, I don't know how much Liverpool spent last year, but it looks good, for me, doesn't it? 75 million on the centre half, 70 million on the goalkeeper. Slight weakness in them areas last year. There aren't any weaknesses now, are there? So, I think you can never say never, because, at the moment I would think Liverpool's as good as anybody in the world, let alone just England. But, football changes quickly. One or two injuries, one or two loss of forms, and somebody takes over. I think the thing about Tottenham is they've got a better squad now than they've ever had. They used to have a good 11. If they'd had no injuries, they'd have a good 11 that could beat anybody. Now they've got a better squad all round, where they can give odd players a rest, or an injury doesn't affect them as much as it did a couple of years ago. I think that's what you've got to do. Try and build your squad so that you don't get punished for injuries or situations like that.
And the way we're talking about the points needed to stay up, maybe. But the league is skewed, isn't it? Because the top 5 or 6, whoever you include in that, are so dominant. Man City losing 2 games on the trot was unbelievable almost. Do you see, and you want to do this tomorrow, do you see surprises? I
think there will be surprises. I mean, we were the biggest surprise on Saturday. If you looked at the betting and the bookies odds and that, we were, I think, 6-1 or something like that in a 2-horse race. So I think we were the biggest surprise of the lot. I don't think anybody expected us to win. So I think that is football, really. It's difficult in those top 3-4 teams. But I think they're all sort of vulnerable. But you've got to have a really good day, and they've got to have a below average day to get anything out of those. The rest of the teams, as I've said, there's 1 or 2 teams that's having bad runs at the moment, but they're on 8, 9, 10 points more than us at the moment, so they can afford it to have a bit of a bad spell. They know they'll come back and have sufficient in the locker, But I mean, I don't think anybody can tell you how many. How many do you think, Rob? How many points do you think?
I had a look, actually. I had a sad Friday night ahead of the Leicester game. The average is 36, but you were really unlucky at Sheffield United. You went down on 38, which was on goal difference. Burnley went down on 30 one year, and that was just so you needed 31 to stay up that year.
And that looks, it's somewhere in between them, isn't it?
Yeah.
But nobody can tell. I think there's so many twists and turns, and like you say, Burnley beat West Ham quite easily yesterday, didn't they? So West Ham's the form team at the moment, and there's a lot of twists and turns before the end of the season. Some big games coming up, I think, for everybody, really. I mean, you talk about, but when you play teams around you, I think they're the real big games, aren't they? You can't afford to lose games like that. And
finally, it's the last day of 2018. How do you reflect on, of all the seasons you've had in football, the years you've had, how do you reflect on 2018 and the hopes for 2019?
Well, I think from a calendar year, it's probably the most amazing year I've ever had in my career, really. I think you've got to be inside a club. I mean, some of you have sort of been around the club a long time. You've got to be inside the club to know, where it was when I came in, and it wasn't just on the playing side that I've had to deal with. I've had to deal with the whole club, really. And so I think 2018, after what we did, surviving, and then last December losing every game, and reading the headlines from the Echo and other newspapers. It wasn't you, Dominic. All the doom and gloom. To turn that round and get automatic promotion, and then take the club up there, and to have 18 points, by Christmas, by New Year, it's just been an amazing thing. And I don't think any of it could have been done without everybody singing from the same hymn sheet. I think, Vincent, whilst he owns the club, he's like a big fan at times, you've got to take him with a pinch of salt. I have to let him go in here and out the other at times. But he is a big fan. He just wants you to do well. And Mehmet's been a real steady influence on me and Ken. But the fans have just been quite amazing. I mean, I think you'd put the fans really at the top of the list. I think the way they've got behind us, and you know, I've even got goose pimples now talking about it. You know, the end of last season, the way they got behind us at Hull City, I'll never forget that. You know, everybody wrote us off at Derby again. You know, all the doom and gloom, that's us gone. You know, and yet we were magnificent, and the fans from before the warm up, the kicking at Hull. You know, the lads come in and they were absolutely bubbling with, have you ever heard anything like that? This is in a warm-up 45 minutes before the kick-off, you know. And that whole City game got us up, make no mistake. That was the win that got us up. And then this year, I mean, every week's been the same, hasn't it? I mean, I've never heard anything like it, mate. Even on the radio, my daughter said on Saturday, all you could hear on the radio was the Cardiff national anthem and everything else. So it's just a fabulous place to be, and it's so, you know, you feel so proud to be in charge of a club like this at a time like this. It is hard. It's tiring. I really, you know, you get tired at times because I'm my age, obviously, and it is hard work, harder than anybody can imagine. But when you get rewards like last Saturday, you know, coming home on the bus last Saturday and thinking about my age and the players that are playing cards behind me and the camaraderie that we've got in that club and everybody else behind the scenes driving down the motorway. It's a lovely feeling. You can't replicate that, and that's why I'm still in the game, really. That's why I still love it, because there's no other feeling in the world that, you know, that when you come home, when you're driving home, you could have been on that coach 20 hours, it wouldn't have bothered me on Saturday. I didn't want to get off it. And I hope there's a few more of them before the end of the year.
All the best.
Yeah.
If that was a wonderful feeling, how do you avoid another Manchester United scenario?
Well, I think the only thing I can say is I think we've just got such a good bunch of lads. I mean, most clubs, if they got a battering like we did that day, you know, to go to Crystal Palace was a real massive ask, and they were super at Palace. The changes we made, and then to go to Leicester, who have just had, you know, just beaten Chelsea and Manchester City, and I thought second half, I thought we deserved it at Leicester. You know, I thought we played well at second half. So I don't expect anything other. But if we make mistakes like Neil did for the first goal at Manchester, we're going to be, you know, we're going to be in trouble. I think we're the worst club in the division, aren't we, for scoring first. I think we've only been in front 94 minutes. That's how good it is for me at 70 years of age. 94 minutes in the half a season. Whether we've been in front, or I've been able to think, oh, good, we're in front. Bloody hell. It must be great for these other managers.
Yeah.
With a cigar in and 2-0 up.
Yeah. But you must have done something or said something that hit home after that Manchester United game.
Yeah, I didn't think there was a lot wrong. I thought circumstances, again, were difficult for us. And having worked all week, Neil's entitled to a mistake. You know, he'll line the wall up and stand behind it. It's not wrong. It's the wrong. He knows he was wrong in that. And that killed us, really, because while they were nervous, that goal just calmed them down, and then they could do what they wanted. And that's where, we chased the game at times. So, you know, that's gone. But, you know, how many teams would react like that with two difficult away games? And you know, we had to change the system. We had to work on that. The lads bought into the system how we wanted to play, and I thought they were super. You know, the way that they bought into it. You know, Benno and Peltier, I thought were fabulous at Palace. So it's been good for me to do different things, but they've never let me down at all. Even the 5-1s, you know, I couldn't really fault them. They made me, like Bamba was immense, wasn't he? And yet, you know, I look back at certain games where he's cost us a goal or something like that. But it can't be helped that you've got to take that. I'm afraid I've just got to bite my tongue and know that it won't be for the lack of trying. And I think that's why our fans are totally behind us, because they see every one of them giving everything for that shirt.
It's been interesting seeing the way that you, other than some other managers, have stuck with, you know, the majority of the team that came up last year. And you've given them the chance to put the errors right.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think your budget decides that as well.
Yeah, but I think you know.
Really, yeah. But listen, I think we're the lowest budget in the Premier League by 100%. But I don't think when we came up, I didn't think it was right to go, you know, chucking everybody out, bringing everybody in, and all that lot. I just felt at my age, I keep going on about my age, but I thought just at my stage of my career, I didn't want that. I didn't want the upheaval. I wanted to give these lads an opportunity, people like Hoylett and Sol, who've been with me, forever really, more than capable. Even Dominic's realising now that, Junior Hoylett does a really good job defending. If I said he was fullback, if I said at Leicester I played him fullback to mark England's left back, then you would look at it different to saying he's playing left wing and he's got to create things against the left back. I thought he did more than what their left back did at the weekend, and he's a hell of a good player, he's Chilwell. And he's the only one I can trust, Junior. And I know it sounds like, but Dominic, you understand that, don't you? It's not, sometimes it's all right. You can, you've got more adventurous players, but you can't have anybody letting you down away from home defensive-wise. You can't have a weakness, because these lads are so good. They pick on that weakness. So, I thought, for me, I thought Junior did brilliant on Saturday against Chilwell.
Is tomorrow a shot to nothing?
Yeah. If you'd have said 4 points from 3 games over Christmas, we'd have snapped your hand off, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Before a ball was kicked after the Manchester United result. But we're looking. I think what it makes it though tomorrow, I think it makes it more enjoyable. I think we can go and enjoy it more than pressure. The pressure's so much at the bottom. Everybody's finding out all these other teams, aren't they? So I think we can go and enjoy it more. My decision, my problem is now is team selection really for that. I'm nearly there. I've only got probably one decision to make now in my own mind, which I'm going to do now when I've left here. So it's I'm glad it's 5:30 kick-off, because I always stop up till 12 tonight to see the new year in, and it gives me an extra couple of hours. It's great, really, isn't it?
Neil, the Wembley game in October was controversial with the Royals sending off. You don't think there'll be any hangover?
No, I don't think he'll like that, no. I mean, he deserved to get sent off, really, didn't he, with a whack? But, he's got to learn, hasn't he? I've seen it the last few weeks on television. You've got to pull them back by the shirt, haven't you, and get a booking. You can't lash out. There's ways of doing things. We're so nice. We're the best team in I think we're nearly top of the Fair Play League. I don't think anybody looks at that. We don't do things like, I look at pushes and where teams go down and get free kicks in certain areas, and we stand up and fall over a bit later. It's we're a little bit naive in that respect, but I can't complain about them because they're such a great group, really.
Yeah, if you talk about Hoylett's defensive contribution, does Bobby Reid have a bit more to go in that? Because you brought him in and out at times this season.
Yeah, I think Bobby Reid's okay. I would say more Murph and Kadeem.
Yeah.
Kadeem, I don't know whether you've noticed, but Kadeem has got better this last few weeks. He's as good as I've seen him. And when I put him on Saturday, I said, don't let me down today defensive-wise, because I don't know how, there wasn't that long, 20 minutes to go something. And I said to him, don't let me down today, the defensive. And he made a great tackle, put it out for a corner or something like that before the end. So Kadeem's come right up in my estimation in that respect. Murph's got a bit to go yet. In the defensive side, but you look at it, what he does in the positive side. You've got to sort of weigh it up, what you can do, and away from him it's very difficult. But he's still learning all the time. Bobby Reid, he can defend all right, Bobby, but he plays in that role, in the 10 role where I see him. But I thought he did well at Palace, and when he came on, he held it up more. Poor old Patter's doing his best, isn't he, really? But I thought Bobby brought us into it and made us more of a threat and that. So it's good to have these. The problem is with no height. Yeah. When we got Junior, Cads and Bobby, it's difficult. But I think we've quite quietly gone about his business, cope with things like that. We played a little bit more as we've got to do. So it'll be interesting. Like I say, we're looking for a striker, but there's no guarantees in there.
Bobby going to play more as a main striker than he did at Palace, or a bit of a one-off?
I honestly don't know. I think we've got to weigh opposition and everything else up, really. He was disappointed, obviously, that he didn't play at Leicester, but it's great for the manager to say I was right. they can't do out of it, can they? It's when you lose again and they come and say, what did I tell you? So yeah, the thing about Bobby is, I think him and Murph have come from situations where physically they've got to improve, and they are. Bobby's trying like hell. He's got to be a little bit more aggressive. So has Murph. And I don't mean that by going kicking anybody. I mean a bit stronger physically, to when he's on a run that he keeps the ball a little bit more, because they double and treble up on Murph now, don't they? But I always said to him, that means there's gaps elsewhere. If you can lay the ball off rather than just running into people and losing it. I think it's all a matter of, we've only been in the Premier League 4 or 5 months, and they're learning all the time, these lads. You've got to learn quickly, and they're good lads. I think they're really good investments for the club for the next 5 years, these boys, and they'll only improve.
Thank you, Richard.
Okay, thanks, lads.